Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, we are looking at another deck that just did very, very well in Japan. A couple of days ago, I brought you the White Kyurem deck that won a tournament over in Japan. Yesterday, we looked at the metagame as a whole, but I did promise you I'd be bringing you a video about Turbo Lightning. So if I don't bring you a video about Turbo Lightning, that kind of makes me a liar, and that makes me a little bit sad. Now, as a side note, just to be 100% clear about the metagame here, Japan this tournament is Sun and Moon on, i.e. our current format. They are playing with some cards that we don't currently have, but all the cards that we don't currently have are coming in Lost Thunder, which is coming out in November. So by the time November comes around, we're going to be in the exact same format that Japan is currently in. So this is an incredibly relevant video on a deck that you can play card for card very shortly. So starting off then, the centerpiece of any Turbo Lightning deck at the moment has got to be Zera Aura. Zera Aura is your main attacker, and Zera Aura is the biggest and bestest card in your deck. And there's a lot to like about Zera Aura. First of all, the ability gives free retreat to all of your lightning Pokemon, or I should say, Pokemon with lightning energy attached, just like Manaphy EX. The GX attack is exactly the same as Turtonator's, and not exactly the same. Turtonator GX lets you accelerate 5 fire energy from the discard to your Pokemon. Zera Aura is 5 basic energy. It can be any type you like, but it's Turbo Lightning and it only plays lightning energy, so suffice to say, it's going to be lightning energy. And then you've got the main attack here, the only really attack per se, which for free energy does 160 damage and you can't attack next turn. Which, yes, is exactly like Buzzwole's attack. It is a mishmash of Pokemon that we've known to be good. And as I talked about in the White Kyurem video yesterday and a bunch of other videos, 160 is perfect. 160 means you're getting non-GXs like Solgaleo Prism Star, for argument's sake, or Dragonite, or pretty much any Stage 2s at the moment, not the Dragonite seeing much play at all. Then you add a Choice Band on there, and you're doing 190, and you're getting up to stuff like Buzzwole. Buzzwole you're weak to, so it should be an issue, but you're one-hit KOing Buzzwole, and you should have a bit more speed, so you don't need to worry too much. The thing is, if this was a non-GX, this would be the point in the video where I started talking about Shrine of Punishment and how you can use that to hit the numbers. Problem is, you're a GX. You will also take a damage counter between turns because it puts a damage counter on all EXs and GXs between turns. That ain't good. But Lightning decks have Electro Power, which is an item card that allows you to do an extra 30 damage with your Lightning Pokemon's attacks to the active during this turn. One of them goes up to 220 and stuff like Zoroark is going down. And the vast majority of the time that's all you're going to need, but if you're against something like a Gardevoir, you could always play 2 of them, and with a Choice Band you're up to 250. Even against something like a Solgaleo, which was repped in this tournament, Solgaleo saw a fair amount of play even against a Solgaleo. 2 Electro Power plus a Choice Band with 160 base damage is 250. And you're KOing anything at that point. So that's your main attacking Pokemon, but we've got a couple of others. The Raikou from Shining Legends comes and makes an appearance here. 1 lightning energy, does a little bit of damage, accelerates an energy. Sounds pretty good to me. If you're wondering about the specifics, 30 damage, 1 energy. It's a great starting Pokemon to help you get some energy on the field. There is a single copy of the Tapu Koko here with Flying Flip. It's really nice because it's got free retreat, meaning if you start with it in the early game, you could retreat to something like a Raikou if you felt so inclined. And Flying Flip is always very nice indeed. There's no real reason to use it other than that. I mean, I suppose it does 10 more damage for free energy than Raikou does. But honestly, it's Flying Flip and free retreat that really help you here. Plus, you know, if you get a Pokemon KO'd, you can put this up, you got a free retreater. But not to be outdone, there's also Tapu Koko GX here. And essentially, there's 2 reasons you play this. Number one, you've got the ability that lets you pop it in the active and collect all the energy onto it. So if you end up with 1 or 2 energy all around the field but not enough to do that much damage, in comes Tapu Koko. But this is your damaging GX attack. It does 50 damage for each energy your opponent has on the field. That's good. Yeah, Zero Aura's got a decent GX attack for accelerating energy, but if you use Raikou and all of that, you might not need it, at which point you can use Tapu Koko's. Which GX attack do you use? It depends. If you've had a really fast start and you're doing fine, save it for Tapu Koko to smash. But if you're a bit behind, use Zero Auras to accelerate energy. And then we see a Shuckle. This is the new Shuckle that isn't out yet, but again, all the cards I'm looking at in this deck that aren't out yet will all be in Lost Thunder. And Shuckle's got an ability whereby when you put it on the bench, you can search your deck for free basic energy and put them in the discard. Both Raikou and Zero Aura accelerate from the discard, ergo you need to get energy into the discard. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where Shuckle comes in. It's like a battle compressor. If you only want to get energy in the discard, it's like a battle compressor, except you can search it out with Ultra Ball, which makes it, awesome, to be perfectly honest with you. If you're playing 4 Ultra Ball like this deck is, that gives you essentially 5 options for getting a Shuckle in the early game. We see an Oranguru here, which is just a little bit of extra draw power, and we see a Tapu Lele, which helps you search out your supporters. Nothing new about them. And obviously in terms of energy here, you're just playing basic lightning, so you can discard it with Shuckle and accelerate it with Raikou and Zero Aura. Now, in terms of your trainer line here, we've already mentioned Electro Power, which is nuts good, but we've also got Thunder Mountain. This is one of these new Prism Star stadiums, which you can only play one in your deck because it is a Prism Star, but they cannot be affected by items and supporters, i.e. your opponent cannot field blower it away. It's one of the reasons people were playing White Kyurem, whose first attack can discard these Prism Star stadiums. And what it does is reduce the attack cost for all lightning Pokemon on the field by a single lightning energy, which means all of a sudden Tapu Koko's GX attack is for 2 energy, lightning and a colorless. It means that Zero Aura's attack is now for a lightning and a colorless. It means that Tapu Koko's Flying Flip is for 1 colorless energy. It means that Raikou can use Booming Thunder without attaching any energy at all. And this deck actually goes a step further by playing a single copy of Counter Gain. Counter Gain, if you're behind on prizes, reduces the attack cost of that Pokemon by 1 colorless energy. So now Zero Aura's main attack for 160 is for 1 lightning energy. Tapu Koko's GX attack, 1 lightning energy. That's nuts, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely nuts. The other slightly unusual thing in this deck is Ether Paradise Conservation Area. This reduces damage done to basic lightning and grass Pokemon by 30 damage. Now this can be field blowered away, and if your opponent drops a field blower, it's essentially done nothing. But if your opponent doesn't, well then you're taking less damage, and you're relying on lightning Pokemon here, so this is really, really handy. The other thing I really want to point out about this deck, and there's 2 things, and they go to general deck building. Japan has had Sun and Moon on for longer than we have. And they are not playing anything like Fan Club to replace the fact that Bridget has gone away. What we've seen in both the deck lists we've looked at so far, they're playing Nest Ball. Nest Ball searches out basics and put them straight on the bench like Bridget does, and the way that Japanese players are coping with the loss of Bridget is playing Netball. The other thing is, this is a second deck in a row not playing Copycat. Not playing Copycat. I've said that Copycat is too easy to exploit. It lets you shuffle your hand into your deck and get a new hand the same size as your opponent's, but if they've got a hand of 1 or 2, that's not going to do anything for you. And you can see that this deck, like the White Kyurem one we looked at a couple of days ago, just not playing them. The other slightly unusual inclusion here is Volkner. Volkner is a supporter card that lets you search for an item card and an energy, but it lets you search for Electro Power, which means you can Tapu Lele, search for a Volkner, grab an Electro Power, do that extra 30 damage. That's huge. Absolutely huge. Or you can search your counter gain, or you can search your choice band, or whatever it might be. Other than that, it's fairly standard. In terms of your supporter line here, 4 copies of Cynthia, which we all know is the best supporter card in the format, no arguments there, but 4 copies of Lily. That is what this particular player has chosen to do, rather than play any of these other supporters. We then see 1 copy of Ace Roller to heal up your Pokemon. Given that you're playing all basics, that's pretty nice. 1 copy of Professor Kukui. This is really just trying to do that extra damage. And it adds up. So if you're playing, for instance, a Choice Band and a Kukui, 210 KOing a Zoroark. Or an Electro Power and a Kukui, 210 KOing a Zoroark. It's just a way of doing a little bit of extra damage to hit those numbers. 3 copies of Guzma so you can pull Pokemon off your opponent's bench and KO them, though it does also focus as a switch here as well. And then we see 3 copies of Choice Band, because it's great, as previously mentioned. 1 copy of Pal Pad to get those supporter cards back into your deck. And then 4 Ultra Ball, 2 Nest Ball. Ultra Ball's amazing, it's the best Pokemon search we've got, but with Bridget gone away, Nest Ball is filling the gap. And then 1 copy of Field Blower to get rid of your opponent's tools. With Garbodor going away, we'll probably see fewer copies of Field Blower played for that, but you still need to get rid of your opponent's choice bands or other stadiums, etc. So it's still very, very nice indeed. And that's the deck, ladies and gentlemen. You can see it on the screen here. Huge shout out to Code64 over on Twitter, who did show me this particular list. It was originally tweeted out by Megaton_Punch01, and it came from the website Poker Card Manager. The address is on the screen there. I don't know if I shouted out Code64 audibly on the video a couple days ago, so if I forgot, let me say now that he is a lovely man. He often hits me up on Twitter, tells me interesting things, and I love him for it. I know I put it in the description for the video, he did get the credit, but just in case I didn't make it super clear in the video a couple days ago, he is awesome, he copied me into these tweets, and I love him for it. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about this deck. Do you think it's a viable deck that's going to be really big once Lost Thunder comes out? Or do you think it's not going to stand up to other decks? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, but remember the rule. Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.